Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brooke confronts Carter after overhearing his conversation with Daphne, as Hope and Steffy spar verbally. Eric wants to know whether there is any news coming from behind enemy lines at the Forrester estate. Ridge informs him that, aside from the takeover, he and Taylor had a pleasant talk with Steffy. They find it unbelievable that Brooke would accompany Carter in doing this. Taylor reassures the men that Steffy will recover the firm and has a strategy. Steffy wants to appeal to Carter's conscience, Ridge informs Eric. Good luck with that, complains Eric, and they argue while Taylor listens. According to Eric, it's the world's worst betrayal. Ridge is reminded by Taylor that Brooke has been speaking with Carter. It only requires the perfect person to bring out the man they know and love. Taylor believes he could be reached by Daphne or Steffy. In her work, she has witnessed how various individuals may make small adjustments. According to Eric, Carter has completely changed as a person. Taylor believes he will return to his former self. When he emerges from the mist, he will recognize his actions. Carter, Hope, and Brooke get ready for their big moment at Forrester. Hope asks Carter why he isn't more thrilled about the launch after noticing that he isn't grinning. She believes he's concerned that this won't work out and assures him that the jewelry line will be successful. Hope tells him to savor the moment because he deserves it. That desk seat is yours to keep. Go enjoy it now. Brooke and Carter exchange glances. Steffy discovers Daphne has feelings for Carter. Steffy praises Daphne in the design office, and she promises her friend that she will make sure Carter realizes that Hope was manipulating him. Daphne argues there's no need to rule out seduction just yet, but Steffy points out that it's no longer an option. But it should be effective to appeal to his sense of goodness. Steffy emphasizes that they must be successful in order to permanently remove the Logans from Forrester Creations. Steffy Daphne B&B. Steffy is reassured by Daphne that she now has a solid read on Carter. She concurs with her buddy that there appears to have been a significant change in him. Steffy claims that Hope was to blame. Daphne believes he can rediscover himself. She muses that in addition to his accomplishment, he is also attractive. She prioritizes helping Steffy, but saving Carter from Hope Logan has become into a personal quest. Daphne B&B. Brooke is bothered by Steffy's words about Hope. Steffy is seated at the desk in the design office when Hope later walks in. She pauses, takes a deep breath, and smiles. Was Daphne with you in this room? Steffy claims that her scents are quite enticing. Asking if everything is well, Brooke peers in. Steffy acknowledges, but she opposes the coup. According to Hope, today is the jewelry launch. This will demonstrate the effectiveness of the new power structure in place. According to Steffy, she is already aware of the drop. Hope believes Steffy needs to come to terms with this. There is nothing that can alter it. Not even you. Brooke appears upset by her daughter's statement. Steffy comments on the treachery. Hope tells her that once the enormous earnings begin to come in, she will see things differently. Or massive debt, Steffy volleys, grateful that her grandmother isn't present to witness this. However, my grandfather and father's legacy is simply going to go. Are you aware of how this is affecting them? Brooke needs to get out of the room. Hope is informed by Steffy that she believes her mother is coming to the realization that what she and Carter did was wrong. Daphne makes things hotter for Carter. Carter liked Daphne's spicier aroma in the main office. She purrs that today is a significant day. Carter, I've been thinking of you, she replies, taking his hand. Carter Daphne B&B. Are you coming on to me? Asks Carter, squinting. Would you be surprised? Daphne wonders. At that moment, Charlie enters. He stumbles over the beautiful Daphne rose and sniffs the air. Is that cinnamon? He continues to speculate until Carter says, Charles. Charlie mumbles to himself about vanilla as he wraps it up and exits the room. Carter informs Daphne that her scent is accurate and the security guard is correct. It's going to be popular. Daphne wonders if he can really enjoy his accomplishments now that he knows how they happened. I find it odd to run Forrester Creations without the Forresters. Daphne claims to be able to tell when someone isn't being authentic. She claims that Hope has him completely enamored with her, and Carter frowns. He desires love and attention and hopes to get married. Something like that is being given to him by Hope. He will stop at nothing to keep it going for her. Even cut the back of a dear buddy. As Daphne implies that participating in this takeover isn't who he truly is, Brooke moves toward the doorway. She begs him to consider what she said carefully before leaving. Carter and Brooke look at one another as she shuts the door. Ridge informs Taylor that Carter had hallucinations at the Forrester estate. He no longer has his old pal. Ridge is still shocked by the treachery, according to Taylor. The same is true for Eric. Total disbelief. Ridge sits next to his father. He feels furious that this occurred, but there is also sorrow and heartache involved. Hope is to blame for the loss of someone they trusted and loved. Carter is under pressure from Brooke. Steffy tells Hope in the design office that she believes her mother is coming to the realization that what she and Carter did was wrong. Hope believes she merely wanted to escape the stress. Steffy no longer believes the coup and believes she is a reluctant CEO. She is alone herself now that her parents have reconciled. Hope queries whether her father's incapacity to commit or the coup are to blame. Steffy claims that she is troubled by Brooke's conscience. She should quit being so foolish, says Hope. Although her mother is furious about Ridge and Taylor, she has a clear conscience. She is excited to be CEO, and the Logans will continue to receive praise for years to come. Carter will guide Forrester into the future with her mother. They're a great team. Brooke believes Carter need to hear what Daphne had to say in the main office. There is something wrong with what they are doing. Ridge is sitting at home with Eric. There is a connection between them. According to Carter, Hope and him have a love. Yes, Brooke responds, but for someone else as well. Ridge, says Carter, and Brooke starts crying. Because of this coup, they both lost him. He can deny it all he wants, but she knows he's crying inside too. I'm sure you miss him just as much as I do. Ridge reminisces about the best parts of his relationship with Carter while pacing the Forrester home. Carter Ridge bed and breakfast. Brooke asks Carter in the main office how much longer they can tolerate this. Ridge is quite at home at Forrester. As Hope boasts to Steffy, Daphne, and Brooke, both in tears, urge Carter to acknowledge his error. Brooke can't stand Steffy reminding Hope of what she did. Taylor is certain that the former Carter will return, and Eric questions Steffy's plan on today's episode of Bold and the Beautiful. Recap of Wednesday's B&B. Finn questioned whether criminality runs in Luna's family, while Luna overheard Poppy asking Bill for assistance in finding her daughter. Ridge and Taylor discuss Brooke joining Carter with him at Eric's. Taylor reminds Ridge that their daughter has an idea that might help them regain control of the business. When they mention that Steffy intends to appeal to Carter's conscience, Eric is unimpressed. Although his father doesn't think Carter can still tell right from wrong, Ridge wants to think he can. Taylor notes that Carter has been doubting himself, according to Brooke. The old man is still there, in her professional view. Join SoapSpoilers.com as a subscriber. Receive SoapSpoilers.com's most recent post updates and more directly in your inbox. Ridge is completely insane and certain that his old pal is no longer there. Taylor believes he's still in disbelief at Carter's heinous betrayal. Eric is stunned. His son informs him that Hope is the reason they are all heartbroken. Ridge paces alone while reflecting about Carter's betrayal. Hope, Brooke, and Carter at Forrester see that the jewelry brand's drop is today. The world will see the new Forrester for the first time with this. She promises that the new collection will be a huge success. Enjoying his moment is acceptable. All of this is due to him, and he has earned it. Carter glances at Brooke after glancing at the photos of Stephanie and Eric behind the desk. Daphne is reminded by Steffy in the design office that they must permanently remove the Logans from the company. The focus of the effort to win Carter over has shifted from seduction to his conscience. They still don't have to exclude out seduction, according to Daphne. She notices a significant change in him. Steffy claims that Hope is to blame. Daphne is confident that she can convince him to recognize the changes that Hope has brought about in him. She has made saving attractive Carter from Hope her particular goal. Hope enters after she leaves and detects Daphne's presence. Before Brooke walks in, they discuss how drunk she is. Hope and Steffy begin arguing, and Logan is adamant that the jewelry launch will prove the new business strategy works. Steffy is told by Hope that accepting this will benefit everyone. Steffy is still concerned that this would lead to the company's demise and the fading of the family's history. Brooke must leave since she is unable to cope with anything. Steffy believes that Brooke has also come to the realization that his daughter's actions were wrong. Hope feels she's being crazy when they start fighting over this. She is confident that her mother is happy to be CEO and has a clear conscience. Daphne enters the headquarters. He sees that she's new and spicy. She admits she's been thinking of him while holding his hand. He assumes she is turning on him. He shouldn't be shocked, in her opinion. Charlie enters, sniffs, and begins to speculate about the perfume's components. He claims to be going to Genoa City to buy some for his buddy, Esther Valentine. When Carter departs, Daphne asks him if he can really celebrate his achievement now that he knows how it happened. She feels that celebrating without the Forresters is odd. She senses that he is not being authentic. Hope has him completely enamored with her. She is certain that he desires commitment and love, and that Hope is providing him with something that satisfies those desires, and he is addicted. He stabbed a friend in the back because of it, but this is not who he truly is. They see Brooke squinting while standing in the doorway. After telling Carter to consider what she said, Daphne leaves. Brooke believes he ought to pay attention to Daphne. They are aware that what they did was wrong. She tells him that both of them lost Ridge as a result of this takeover, even though they both adore him. He acknowledges his love for Ridge. She sobs, knowing that he is also crying inside. Forrester is where Ridge belongs. Taylor had always been the calm in the storm, the quiet force who could steady the most turbulent of seas with a single look, but when Ridge, the man she once believed in with all her heart, flip-flopped back to Brooke, it sent shockwaves through her carefully constructed world, leaving her feeling betrayed, heartbroken, and utterly alone in a moment when she needed strength more than ever. As the news spread like wildfire through the corridors of Forrester Creations and the hushed whispers in elegant hallways, Taylor found herself grappling with a maelstrom of emotions that threatened to overwhelm her usually composed exterior, and in a private moment away from the prying eyes of the media and the constant chatter of eager fans, she finally reached the breaking point where words, long held back by the weight of her silence, burst forth like a dam giving way under relentless pressure. 6 words that would forever be etched in the annals of Bold and the Beautiful lore, a verbal dagger. Aimed at the heart of a love that had once promised everything but delivered only sorrow, you never deserved my unwavering love. In that single, searing declaration, Taylor encapsulated not just the deep betrayal she felt by Ridge's repeated return to a love that was no longer hers, but also the resolve to reclaim her dignity and assert that her loyalty, once given freely and without reservation, was a treasure far too valuable to be squandered on someone who could not appreciate it, and as she uttered those 6 words, a cascade of memories flooded her mind, memories of a time when Ridge's smile had lit up her days, when promises were made under starlit skies and whispered in the quiet of a shared confidences, when she had believed in the purity of their connection and had built her hopes around a future they once envisioned together, only to see that vision crumble into a mosaic of broken promises and half-truths as Ridge, swayed by old flames and the lure of familiar comforts, turned his back on the woman who had stood by him through every trial and tribulation. This moment of raw honesty was not just an outburst, but a turning point, a moment when Taylor, who had always been the anchor in others' lives, decided to take a stand for herself, to acknowledge that the pain of betrayal was not something to be tolerated but a wound that needed to be healed by the strength of self-respect and the clarity of truth. And while her heart ached with the bitter sting of disappointment, there was also an undeniable spark of liberation in her voice, a realization that the path forward lay not in mourning the loss of a love that was never meant to be permanent, but in embracing the future with a courage that only those who have been hurt deeply can muster. as she stood there. The echoes of her six-word pronouncement resonated in the silent space around her, each word a testament to the countless sacrifices she had made, the sleepless nights spent wondering if her love would ever be returned, and the innumerable times she had chosen hope over despair, all culminating in this singular moment of clarity where she no longer allowed herself to be defined by Ridge's fickle affections or the chaotic entanglements of a love triangle that had long outstayed its welcome. In that instant, Taylor felt the shackles of unreciprocated love fall away, replaced by the fierce resolve to rebuild her life on her own terms, to channel the pain into something transformative, and to show the world that while love can be a source of immense joy, it can also be the catalyst for personal growth when one has the strength to rise from the ashes of heartbreak and declare, with unyielding certainty, that her worth was not determined by the whims of a man who had repeatedly chosen the path of self-destruction over commitment. And as she walked away from that moment, her eyes glistening with unshed tears yet burning with a newfound fire, Taylor knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she also understood that every step taken in the pursuit of self-respect was a step away from the pain of the past and a step towards a future where her heart would no longer be a battlefield for someone else's indecision. This was the day she reclaimed her power, the day when the truth in those 6 words became her armor against the betrayals of the past, a reminder that sometimes the most profound declarations are not made in grand gestures or epic soliloquies, but in the quiet, resolute utterance of a few words that hold the weight of a lifetime, words that would serve as both a farewell to a love that had lost its way and a herald of the strength that lies within a woman determined to live her truth, no matter how painful the journey may be. And so, with every fiber of her being, Taylor stepped forward into the unknown, leaving behind the remnants of a broken love story and carrying with her the promise that she would never again allow anyone to diminish the light that shone so brightly within her, a light that, despite the darkness of betrayal, would continue to guide her towards a future filled with hope, resilience, and the kind of self-love that no man could ever take away. Daphne had always been the silent bystander in the backdrop of Forrester Creations, quietly and gracefully integrating herself into the sophisticated turmoil of the business. However, one fateful afternoon, as the hallways hummed with the customary tension and whispered rumors, Daphne was concealed in the shadow of a closed conference room door, and conversations flowed through the crack, urgent, quiet, and loaded with secret accusations. She heard a conversation that would alter everything in that instant, a name repeated with terrible finality, bits of admissions, and bits of phrases. Each syllable etched itself into her memory as she listened, her heart thumping in her chest like a warning drum. Even though she was unable to hear every aspect of the conversation between two powerful people, it was clear that the topic was serious. It was a discovery that suggested profound treachery and covert plans that could have destroyed long-standing alliances. It wasn't just office rumors. At the same time, Carter was involved in his own inquiry, but Daphne was unaware of it. Carter, who had long been known for his meticulousness and strong resolve, had been surreptitiously examining a series of discrepancies in the company's internal correspondence. He had known for months that something was wrong, minor irregularities in the financial reports, differences in project schedules, and now rumors of a secret that would jeopardize the Forrester heritage. He was looking through private papers in his modern, dark office that day when he suddenly realized something. The puzzle's parts, which had previously appeared jumbled and elusive, were starting to come together in a startling and devastating fashion. Carter would soon be discovered, and the evidence he had been painstakingly compiling suggested a treachery that went much deeper than he had ever imagined. As Daphne pondered what she had heard, her mind raced in the hallway outside the meeting room. Names and incidents that, if made public, would upset the delicate power dynamics within the organization were referenced in low tones. The weight of decades' worth of whispered resentments and hidden grudges appeared to be in every syllable. For Daphne, this was more than just idle talk, it was a spark that would start a chain of events she could not fathom. She struggled with her conscience, torn between the moral need to convey what she had learned and the inclination to keep quiet. But the truth is a strong force that cannot be ignored once it is spoken. At the meantime, Carter's inquiry intensified at his office. A troubling picture of cooperation, dishonesty, and cover-ups was depicted in the materials before him. As he learned more, he came to understand that the betrayal was personal in nature rather than merely a question of office politics. Carter had always taken pleasure in his commitment and honesty, and the revelation he was about to make threatened to undermine his faith in individuals he regarded as friends and even co-workers. He discovered a trend when he compared emails, financial documents, and anonymous tips, which shocked him into realizing that someone in their inner circle had been twisting the facts to suit their own interests. The consequences of this discovery would be enormous. Daphne waited motionless outside the meeting room as Carter started to put the last pieces of the puzzle together. A shiver ran down her spine when she realized she was suddenly the custodian of this dangerous secret. She knew that the information she had overheard might be the piece Carter was missing, but putting it out there would be irreparable damage. Torn between her natural desire for justice and her allegiance to the corporation, she decided in a flash that she would go find Carter and tell him what she had heard, knowing that his unshakable sense of duty would make sure the truth was treated with the seriousness it required. There was a noticeable sense of tension during Daphne and Carter's meeting. Daphne narrated everything she had heard in a quiet corner of the building, away from prying eyes and crowded hallways. Carter listened carefully, his thoughts racing as he made the connection between what she had said and the meticulously gathered facts. Every piece of information supported his darkest fears. There was, in fact, a pervasive treachery at the core of Forrester Creations, one that linked a number of important individuals to a plot that endangered not only the company's future but also the lives of those involved. Daphne's story supported Carter's discovery, which started a domino effect. As rumors started to circulate and partnerships threatened to fall apart, the organization's delicate equilibrium was abruptly thrown into disarray. Discussions in private offices and boardrooms evolved from whispered conjectures to furious arguments. Now that he had the testimony of a reliable insider and indisputable proof, Carter realized it was time to reveal the truth. However, he was well aware of the possible consequences even as he readied himself to make this audacious move. In addition to appending jobs, the revelation would destroy long-standing relationships and leave scars that may never completely heal. Daphne had taken a risk when she decided to come forward. She was aware that she may become a target if she revealed such a risky secret, but she couldn't keep quiet because of her conscience. In her heart, she felt that the only way to heal was to be transparent, even if it meant facing the evil that had long been hidden away. She felt both relief and trepidation as she watched Carter go to announce his discoveries. The burden of the long-held secret was now starting to lessen, and in its stead was the hope that maybe the truth might lead to atonement and rejuvenation. The consequences of Carter's finding started to spread across Forrester Creations in the days that followed. Betrayed allies, shocked colleagues, and a variety of scandal-hungry media outlets demanded explanations. Once seen as an unwavering defender of the company's reputation, Carter was now at the heart of a storm. Even though his reputation was at stake, he steadfastly believed that the only path ahead was the truth, no matter how painful it was. Carter couldn't help but think back on the series of events that had led up to this point as he got ready for a news conference to discuss the developing problem. This moment had been triggered by a random event, by a single overheard exchange that Daphne had risked everything to report. Everyone had to face their personal demons as a result of the catastrophe. Some saw the conspiracy's revelation as a long-overdue vindication and an opportunity to make amends for wrongs that had been allowed to fester in the background for too long. Others found it to be a terrible blow, a disruption of the meticulously crafted facades they had spent years creating. Once unbreakable relationships were now stressed to their breaking point, trust was destroyed, and the company's future was in jeopardy. Despite everything, Daphne and Carter stood out as improbable heroes, their courage to confront the truth head-on serving as a beacon of morality in a society that had become all too used to dishonesty. However, as the dust settled, it became evident that this discovery's effects were just getting started. There would be no simple remedies for the harm caused by treachery, and the consequences might not become apparent for months or even years. Daphne found the experience to be both terrifying and life-changing, serving as a sobering reminder that sometimes the price of the truth is high. Furthermore, Carter had to deal with a maze of feelings and repercussions that he had never foreseen because the finding had permanently altered the trajectory of both his professional and personal lives. Carter and Daphne were ensnared in an unrelenting tempest of accountability and atonement as board meetings turned into contentious altercations and the media's unrelenting scrutiny increased. With both supporters and detractors analyzing every aspect of the controversy, the once secret information suddenly dominated headlines and social media feeds. In private discussions, promises of change and fresh starts blended with murmurs of remorse and betrayal. The underpinnings of Forrester Creations and the moral character of its executives were exposed for the world to see during this period of reckoning. Daphne's choice to come forward was both celebrated and derided during this turbulent time. She was viewed by some as a brave whistleblower who had put herself in danger to make sure that justice was served. Others, however, charged her with betraying her country and inciting unrest for her personal benefit. Despite the divergent views, there was a growing consensus that the revelations had long been overdue, and ultimately, the truth was all that mattered. That fateful moment when Daphne overheard a conversation had set off a chain of events that made it impossible to disregard Carter's discovery. Hard concerns about loyalty, authority, and the cost of concealment had been raised by the scandal. These were questions that would have to be addressed, no matter how painful the process. The business faced legal disputes, internal reorganizations, and a public relations nightmare that threatened to reshape its legacy as it set out on a turbulent recovery journey in the weeks and months that followed. But in the middle of the mayhem, there was a ray of hope, the conviction that trust could be restored and that people could come out stronger than before by being open and accountable. The event was a potent reminder to Daphne and Carter of the value of honesty and the need to face even the most difficult realities in order to create space for recovery and rejuvenation. In the end, the controversy marked a sea change for all parties involved, not just Forrester Creations. A collective reckoning and the prospect of atonement were made possible by the moment when the past's concealed facts were ultimately revealed, which served as a catalyst for transformation. A web of dishonesty that had long afflicted the organization had been exposed by Daphne's bravery and Carter's tenacity, and although the road ahead would be difficult, it also offered the possibility of change, the opportunity to create a future based on integrity, responsibility, and the unwavering conviction that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth fighting for.